My name is Sarah, 36F, and for the past 4 years I have been living in a state of quiet grief. My husband, Mark, died of glioblastoma, brain cancer, when he was just 34. Mark wasn't just my husband, he was the kindest soul I ever knew. He was a botanist by trade, and his love language was nature. When we bought our forever home, a sprawling Victorian house on 6 acres of land, it was a fixer-upper. But the land was Mark's canvas. Over 5 years, he transformed the overgrown backyard into a botanical masterpiece. He planted a weeping willow by the creek, built a stone bridge with his bare hands, and, most importantly, created the Infinity Rose Garden. It had over 200 varieties of rare roses, some imported from Japan and England. When Mark got sick, he couldn't walk much. So I would wheel him out to the garden, and he would tell me how to prune the bushes. His last days were spent looking at those flowers. After he passed, I poured my entire soul into maintaining that garden. It is holy ground to me. It is him. Enter my brother, Kyle, 32M, and his fiancée, Jessica, 28F. Kyle is my younger brother, the golden child of our family. My mother has coddled him his entire life. He's a good guy deep down, but he has no spine. Jessica is a piece of work. She is an influencer with 5,000 followers who acts like she has 5 million. She is obsessed with aesthetics, luxury, and being the center of attention. She has never liked me. She calls my house the haunted mansion and makes fun of my grief, telling me I need to get laid and move on. About a year ago, Kyle proposed. Jessica immediately started planning the wedding of the century. She wanted a destination wedding in Italy, then a castle in Scotland. But reality hit them hard. They are broke. Kyle works in IT support and Jessica is a lifestyle coach, unemployed. My parents are retired and couldn't fund her delusions. 6 months ago, they came over for dinner. Jessica was surprisingly nice. She brought wine. She complimented my curtains. I knew she wanted something. Then it dropped. "Sarah," she said, batting her eyelashes, "we have a problem. We lost our venue deposit because of a scheduling conflict." Lie. "We have nowhere to get married in October, and looking at your backyard, it's basically a venue waiting to happen." I immediately said, "No. My home is my sanctuary. I don't want 150 strangers stomping on Mark's grass." Then came the waterworks. Jessica cried. Kyle looked at the floor. My mother, who was also there, started the guilt trip. "Sarah, look at this massive house. You live here all alone like a hermit. Your brother needs you. Mark would have wanted you to share the love. How dare she invoke Mark's name?" They wore me down over 3 weeks. I finally agreed, but I had my lawyer draft a strict contract. The rules were clear. The reception is in the barn only. The ceremony is on the south lawn. The rose garden is strictly off limits. No photos, no guests, no walking. It is to be roped off with velvet stanchions. Any damage to the property results in immediate cancellation of the event. Jessica signed it without reading it, rolling her eyes. "Relax, Sarah. I don't care about your stupid dirt patch. I just want the barn." If only I knew that was a lie. The planning phase was a nightmare. Jessica treated me like hired help. She demanded I cut down the weeping willow because it looked sad. I refused. She demanded I let her bridesmaids sleep in my master bedroom, Mark's room, the night before. I refused. She demanded I pay for the catering because I was saving money on a venue fee. I laughed in her face. But the real trouble started 2 weeks before the wedding. I had to go out of town for a 3-day work conference. I was hesitant to leave, but Kyle promised me he would check on the house every day. "Don't worry, sis," he said. "I won't let her do anything crazy." I came back on a Thursday evening. The wedding was Saturday. I drove up my long driveway, exhausted. As I parked, I noticed something odd. There was a cement truck leaving my property. A cement truck? My heart stopped. I ran to the backyard. I fell to my knees and screamed, a scream that tore my throat. The infinity rose garden was gone, not just trimmed, not just walked on. It was paved over. A massive, ugly, grey concrete slab had been poured directly over Mark's rare roses. They hadn't even dug them up to save them. They had just poured wet concrete over the living bushes to create a level surface. On top of the wet concrete, workers were setting up a white dance floor and a stage for a DJ. Standing there, directing them, was Jessica. "Careful with the edges," she was yelling. "I need it seamless for the Instagram reel." I ran over to her. I grabbed her arm. I think I might have shaken her. "What did you do?" I shrieked. "What did you do?" She pulled away, looking annoyed. "Ugh, Sarah, you're back early. Look, the grass was too lumpy for heels. My bridesmaids could have twisted an ankle. So we laid down a temporary foundation. It's a dance floor. It's chic. Get over it." "You poured concrete on my husband's grave," I yelled. Mark's ashes were scattered there. "Oh my God, stop being so morbid," Jessica scoffed. "He's dead. He's dust. The roses were ugly anyway, old-fashioned. This is modern. Plus, we did you a favor. Concrete is low maintenance." I looked for Kyle. He was hiding in the barn. I dragged him out. "You let her do this?" I whispered. Kyle was crying. "She threatened to call off the wedding, Sarah. She was screaming. She said the photos would look bad on grass. I didn't know they would use concrete. I thought it was just wood." "You watch the truck pour it," I said deadpan. I just wanted peace," he sobbed. My mother pulled up in her car at that moment. She saw me crying and rushed over. "Sarah, calm down," she said. "What's done is done. It actually looks quite nice, very spacious. We can plant some hydrangeas later. Don't ruin this weekend for your brother." That was the moment something snapped inside me. The grief was gone. The sadness was gone, replaced by a cold, icy rage. I realized that to them I wasn't a person. I was an obstacle. And Mark's memory was just clutter. I wiped my face. I stopped crying. "Okay," I said softly. Jessica looked suspicious. "Okay? You're not going to freak out?" "No," I said. "You're right. What's done is done. Have your wedding." Jessica smirked. "Finally, you're being reasonable. Now go inside and shower. You look like a mess." I went inside. I didn't shower. I called the nuclear option. I knew if I kicked them out Thursday night, they would just come back or harass me. I needed to hurt them. I needed to make them pay. I looked at the contract again. Clause 6. Violation of property boundaries or destruction of landscaping grants the owner the right to cancel the event immediately without refund and remove all persons from the premises. I didn't tell them I was canceling. I let them set up. I watched from the window on Friday as they decorated the barn. They brought in $10,000 worth of flowers. Ironic. They set up the tables. They did the rehearsal dinner on the concrete slab that entombed my husband's roses. I smiled at them. I poured them iced tea. "You're taking this so well," Kyle said, looking relieved. "I promise I'll buy you new seeds after the honeymoon." "Don't worry about it, Kyle," I said. While they were rehearsing, I was on the phone. The police. I informed the local sheriff, who was a friend of Mark's, that I would have trespassers on Saturday and needed a detail. Private security. I hired a team of 4 large bouncers. Excavators. I called a landscaping company for an emergency job on Monday to jackhammer the concrete. The lawyer. We prepared the lawsuit for property damage. Friday night, Jessica came to me. "So, Sarah, since you're obviously okay with everything now, I need you to stay in your room during the wedding tomorrow. You have bad energy and I don't want you in the photos. You can come down for the food after the speeches. I looked her in the eye. I won't be in any photos, Jessica. I promise. Saturday morning, the wedding was set for 4 p.m. Vendors started arriving at 10 a.m. I let them in. I let the caterers set up the food. I let the DJ set up his speakers on the concrete slab. I let the cake arrive. Why? Because Jessica had to pay them 100% up front on the day of. I wanted her checks to clear. At 1 p.m., Jessica and the bridesmaids arrived to get dressed in the bridal suite, my guest room. At 2 p.m., Kyle and the groomsmen arrived. At 3 p.m., guests started trickling in. I waited until 3:30 p.m. Jessica was in her dress. Her makeup was done. She was drinking champagne. Guests were seated on the lawn. The music was playing. It was perfect. I walked out to the main gate with my 4 private security guards. I closed the massive iron gates. I padlocked them with a heavy-duty chain. Then, I walked to the electrical box on the side of the barn. I cut the power. The music died. The lights in the barn went out. The AC stopped humming. Silence fell over the property. I walked into the bridal suite. "Sarah?" Jessica asked, trying to fix her lipstick in the dim light. "Why did the power go out? Go fix it." "No," I said. I pulled out the contract. "Jessica, Kyle, the wedding is over. Everyone needs to leave. Now." Jessica laughed nervously. "Is this a joke? It's 30 minutes to the ceremony." "You violated Clause 6, I said calmly. "You destroyed permanent landscaping. The contract is void. You are trespassing." "You crazy bitch!" Jessica screamed, lunging at me. Her maid of honor held her back. "You can't do this. My guests are here. My parents are here." "And my roses are under a slab of concrete," I said. "I have security at the gate. No more cars are coming in. The police are on their way to escort you out. You have 10 minutes to grab your stuff and get off my land." Kyle turned pale. "Sarah, please." "Mom and Dad are downstairs. Don't do this. We spent $30,000 on this day." "You should have spent $30 on a bag of mulch instead of concrete," I replied. I walked out. I went to the DJ. "Pack it up. Party's over." I went to the caterer. "You can keep the food or throw it out, but you can't serve it here." The scene that followed was pure chaos. Jessica ran out onto the balcony screaming at the guests. "She's ruining it! She's jealous of me!" My mother found me in the kitchen. She slapped me across the face. "How could you?" she screamed. "You are dead to me. Fix this now." "Get out of my house, Mom," I said. "Or you leave in handcuffs." The police arrived at 3:50 p.m. The sheriff looked at the contract. He looked at the concrete slab. He shook his head. He went up to Jessica, who was sobbing on the floor in her $5,000 dress, and told her she had to leave. Watching 150 confused guests walk back to their cars. Watching the caterers dump trays of salmon into the trash. Watching Jessica being escorted off the property by a cop while screaming like a banshee. It didn't bring my roses back. But God, it felt like justice. It has been 3 months since the red wedding. The fallout was nuclear. The family. My parents have blocked me. They sent a long email detailing how I am a vindictive, lonely, hateful woman and that Mark would be ashamed of me. I replied with one photo, the concrete slab over the garden. I haven't spoken to Kyle. I heard through a cousin that Jessica left him that same night. She blamed him for not controlling his sister. They are currently in a messy annulment process. The harassment. Jessica's friends tried to review bomb my existence. They found my LinkedIn and tried to get me fired. They posted TikToks about the evil sister-in-law from hell. One video went viral, but then I posted my side. I posted the before photos of Mark's garden and the after photos of the concrete. The internet flipped. Jessica was roasted alive. People called her Concrete Bride. She had to delete her social media. The lawsuit. I sued Jessica and Kyle for the cost of damages and restoration. I brought in a specialist botanist to appraise the value of the lost rose bushes. Some of those bushes were 10 years old and irreplaceable. The total valuation came to $45,000, plus the cost of jackhammering the concrete and removing the debris, $8,000. We went to court last week. Jessica tried to argue implied consent because I didn't stop them on Thursday. My lawyer produced the text messages where I explicitly said the garden is off limits and the signed contract. The judge was ruthless. He looked at the photos of the concrete. He asked Jessica, "You poured industrial cement on a memorial garden for a dance floor." Jessica said, "It was just dirt." The judge ruled in my favor, $53,000 in damages, plus legal fees. Jessica doesn't have the money. Her wages are being garnished. Kyle is filing for bankruptcy because he took out loans for the wedding that never happened. The garden today. The concrete is gone. It took 2 weeks of jackhammering. The soil underneath was dead, compacted and poisoned by the lime in the cement. I had to dig it all out, 3 feet deep, and bring in new soil. I couldn't save the original roses. Mark's roses are gone. But last Sunday, I planted the first new bush, a white rose. I sat there and cried for hours. But for the first time in 3 years, I felt like I had protected Mark. I stood up for him when he couldn't stand up for himself. The house is quiet now. No brother, no parents, just me. But as I look out at the fresh soil, I know one thing. The weeds are gone. Only the roots remain, and roots can grow back.